Welcome to the TikTok podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hey, friends.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. She's so cute. Oh, you guys. All right. I have this whole intro ready to go, but I have to say, when we record on this technology that we pull the people backstage first, but I can see the little videos down at the bottom of us. And the minute the intro started, she just started smiling and grinning. This is huge, beautiful smile, but you guys don't know who it is yet unless you're watching on YouTube. Then you already do. So let me do my intro, okay? Okay, here we go. Okay, she's ready. All right. So I want to intro the show today by telling you the moment I fell in love with today's guest. The year was 2009. I was a brand new mommy and I was so overwhelmed with all brand new mommy things. I worked from home. I had this whole paradigm shift, this whole schedule shift, this whole hormone shift, everything. And I thought, how in the world can I work with this brand new baby at home? What does that look like? I don't know what to do. And I had this idea. It was a God idea for sure, divine idea, that I was going to fly some people in to train my sales team because I just didn't have the bandwidth. I was like, okay, I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to fly some people in. And it is only God that I asked today's guest to fly in because we didn't know each other very well. We knew each other from afar. Our moms knew each other. And I really respected what I did know of her, but I just took a chance and I invited her. We only emailed. I mean, this is so way like back in the Stone Ages. We only emailed like flight information, whatever. And right before she flew into Memphis, where I lived, to train my team, she asked me how many of my team members were going to be at our training. And I remember saying, I don't know, maybe 25, something like that. And I was just kind of curious why she was asking. Well, she flies in. We have sushi that afternoon for lunch. And I already was like, okay, I'm sold. I have to have this girl in my life forever. And at our training, she pulls out this big bag of gifts for my team, bracelets and headbands and all kinds of beautiful, glittery, wonderful things. To this day, that was 2009, 15 years ago. To this day, the women on my sales team still talk about how that made them feel. And I thought, someone who is so larger than life, and if you're watching on YouTube, you know, and if you are on my social, you know, I mean, she's my bestie, you guys, but gorgeous, movie star, good looks, glitter and sparkle, but the heart is just as big or bigger. And Krystal Hunsucker, I think of you, I think of hospitality, I think of generosity, I think of brilliance. You are my go-to girl for so many things in life. It's not even fun. You're my go-to girl when you're like, okay, I've just got to get something off my chest. Or what's your strategy for this? Or you name it, you're my girl. You're also Aunt Boo Boo to my kids and to other kids too. And what a privilege to welcome you to the TikTok podcast. You guys, please welcome from the Dallas, Texas area, my Krystal.
Friend, how do I even talk now? I mean, show over. Thank you. Wow. Wow. What an honor. I mean, it is the biggest blessing to do life with you. And I'm going to give one back to you though, because I will never forget. I had just walked through a horrific, traumatic piece of life just shortly after I'd been married. And it just was going through something hard. And I was with Callie at a conference and we were laying in bed and it's dark. We're about to fall asleep. And she goes, I don't know how I got so lucky. And that is the biggest blessing, that when you're in a friendship that you're like, no, you're awesome. And then,
No,
like,
you're awesome. No, you're awesome.
exactly.
No, you're
Exactly.
awesome.
I'm so honored to be on today though. Just so proud of you and for all these amazing listeners, and that you are filling yourself up, that you're filling your cup up with just beautiful things to make your life better with Callie.
Oh, well, it's one of those things inviting you on. Obviously, you had to be a guest on, right? But it's like, what should we talk about? We could talk about so many different things. But when I said you were my go-to girl, one of the things you're my go-to girl is on, I don't want to call it systems. I want to call it on like lifestyle strategy. I want to like life work balance, prioritizing, like all of those things. And you do it really beautifully, especially when it comes to technology. You always know everything that is like the things that are going to make our lives easier, but make our lives easier with purpose. And so that's really what we're going to talk about today. We are going to get some nitty gritty. Like, I know you guys love to hear some practical tips. We're going to get that today from you, Krystal. And that's sort of the vein that we're going to go in. But before we launch in, do tell everybody. And again, if they follow me on social, they probably feel like they know you. If they follow you on social, I know that they definitely feel like they know you. But tell everybody just a little bit about you and then just jump in. We're going to talk about the mindset of how to use technology, how to use these systems to really bring forth time for what matters in your life. So go, do it.
Absolutely. So I have been working from home. I cannot believe this when I'm about to say it, for almost 25 years. Really mind blowing. And one of the things about that is that I'm going to give hope to all the girls out there. If you're single and wondering what is happening, I did not meet my husband until I was 33 years old. And so solely supported myself from my home-based business. And it was just such a blessing that I learned and grew the way that I did during that time. And so I am now the queen of the bees. My husband, Brad. I have a little boy, Boone, who's 8 years old, and a little boy, Beckham, who is 5. And we are entering the sweet spot, my friends. We are about to be in my best season ever. I feel it and I know it. They're about to both be at the same school for 3 whole years, a whole full day. I don't even know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm so excited about it. I absolutely love women's Bible studies. Just some fun facts about myself. It is a passion in my heart that everyone does Bible studies. Really figured that early on in life with what my life's purpose is. And it really is. God blessed me so much with that, to learn that even in my early 20s, that my purpose is to encourage and lead women to live these positive lives that we can change generations. And so it's kind of funny that that is the purpose. And I'm a boy mom, but I own it. And it is exactly what I am supposed to be doing and where I'm at. And uh, I'm definitely just try to be a ray of sunshine everywhere that I go. A little bit about me.
Well, I don't think you have to try. It just is in your DNA. It really is. And kind of how I described you at the beginning, your way of making people feel special and really seeing them and pouring into them and truly caring in such a special way, that is definitely one of your superpowers, Krystal, among many, among many. And I just have to pause and say, we were praying for Brad Hunsucker. We didn't know it was Brad Hunsucker, but we were praying for him for a long time. And there was a lot of not Mr. Wrongs along the way. We're just going to say it like that. But when she met him and then she told us his name, and we're like, you must really be in love because your new name is going to go from Walker to Hunsucker. And girl, you have embraced that too. And I'd absolutely love it. Okay. So let's get started. I know we're going to talk about a lot of the different tech hacks and things that you use, but I know first, and probably most importantly, is the mindset of why do we want these different, whether it's, you're going to talk about things on your iPad or your iPhone. Why are these going to provide value for us? And what does that look like? Tell us your mindset first.
Absolutely. You really do have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And so for me, I love that you said the value in it, because that is what it's all about. It is about the core values. And so that's kind of the first uh, assignment that you need to have is that if you are not just completely clear on what your values are and why, it is going to be hard to use different tips and tricks because you're just going to do what wherever the wind blows, you know? And so that's what has really helped me with when I am planning, when I am strategizing. And when I say strategizing, I'm not even talking about business. I'm talking about my life. How about strategizing my emotions? I mean, all of those different things, but it all starts with what do I value most and what do I want to give my time to? And one of the biggest things that I want to give my time to is relationships. And so you will see almost everything that I'm going to talk about really does go back to the relationship spectrum. I mean, because that is one of the biggest values in my life, whether it be my relationship with the Lord, relationship with my husband, with my immediate family, with my family of choice, of my friendships. I mean, my work relationships. Those are all the things that are going to come in that value basket. And what is so cool though is what that ended up turning into. I'm huge on strength finders. I absolutely love strength finders. I've probably taken almost every test to learn about yourself that is out there because I find value that what I have found is if I know who I am, I can give others the best healthiest version of myself. So when you're doing some of those things, that's kind of the mindset that I have with that. And so hysterically, when I was writing everything down, how many times has Callie said strategic since we started? Probably about 5 times. That's my number one strength finder is it is strategic, but I also have some of that futuristic in there, which is also interesting on uh, what I'm about to teach you, a couple of things that just really work for me because they're my strengths. And so as I'm teaching them, even if these are not your strength, you're going to find your way to tweak it that's going to work best for you.
Okay, that is so good. And how crazy is that it's just like in the essence of understanding you and why this flows from you so easily. And at the same point, how this flows from you, but why this flows from you because of the end result. So I think we can really get caught up in, oh, we hear this idea or this tip, but does it make sense with what I value? Will it get me closer to that? Will it make me more time for that? We can have the best plan in the whole world, but at the end of the day, if it's not giving us the time with relationships or the time with growth or whatever it is that's your value, like what's it for? So, okay, so now we've got the right mindset, we've got the right direction. Tell us some of the things that you have found that are working for you.
Absolutely. So, really, I'd always been, I'm going to talk a little bit about calendars, reminders, some of these things are so simple. Some of these things you're going to go, I need more on that. You are, and that's okay. But I want to take you back really quick and tell you one of the things that happened for me is I've always been fantastic with keeping a schedule. But I will tell you, I really fought schedules. I'm going to tell you that because I like freedom to do whatever I want. And so appointments and that piece of having a calendar and keeping things on track kind of bother me. I'm like, "Ugh, I have to be somewhere. I don't want to have to be somewhere, you know? And I want to be able to just, oh, I'm going to go get my nails done right now. And it was not serving me well. You know what I mean? You were waiting for an hour instead of having an appointment. And what I found is with a schedule or a strategy comes flexibility. And it really surprised me because the more that I have in place, the more flexible my life has become. And so let's rewind really fast from why I'm even more passionate about some of my systems, whatever. What we need to come up with a cute name for that. But whatever it is that I have in place is because this fall, I don't know what happened, but I dropped the ball. I was not using any of the things that I knew to use of calendar or putting events down. I double and triple booked myself multiple times, which then followed up with I was feeling like I was not being a woman of my word and that people were going to think a lack of character. I mean, I'm just like totally laying it out, you guys, having that vulnerable moment that for about 6 months, my life was running me instead of me choosing to run my life. And it was miserable. So I feel like right now I might be speaking to some of you. If you're feeling chaos, it's your life feels chaotic, you're exhausted, you feel confused, you're overwhelmed. And I already knew all these skills, but that is how I felt just 6 months ago, you guys. And so, literally, at the end of December, I literally put my phone down, or phone, need to put my phone down, my foot down. And I literally, I was like, enough is enough. I've got to get back to what I know to do. So that's kind of the first thing, is that you're going to know those core values. You're going to know like how to piece in what your strengths are, but also sometimes you just have to make a decision to make a change so that you're not living stressed. And so the first thing that I did was I got the calendar ready to go. And it's honestly one of my biggest, best systems. And so I'm sure, I mean, if we were live together, we could raise hands and say, who loves a paper calendar? I am a paper calendar girl. Like, I tried the whole Google app. I tried it and it sounded like such a cute idea, and it just never worked for me. And so I've got my iPad right here because, and I'm sorry if you're listening, but I have my iPad right here because what I did was I started researching digital calendars that I could write on, that I could add to. And so there is this app called Good Notes. Okay. So the app is Good Notes. Good Notes has changed my life. I am telling you, because I can access my Good Notes. Guess what? Guess where else Good Notes is? On my phone. So whatever I write on the iPad is also on my cell phone. So it is such a cool system. Okay. So the digital calendar that I get is extremely affordable on that cute little place called Etsy, whatever you want to call it, however you pronounce it. Kimberly and I are both super West Texan. Kimberly's my sister, and we both say it completely different. And I call it Etsy, and she corrects me every time. So, however you want to say it. But I found this great affordable calendar on there. So, and it step by step tells you exactly how to add it to Good Notes, which is the app that's going to house your calendar. Okay. So once I get that set up, I think the best system ever is the color coded system. So what I've done, and again, I know a lot of you guys are listening, but I have a little highlighter. And guess what all of my highlights are? They're literally all people. Now there's work also, but I feel like my work is people as well, right? And so every single person in my life has a highlighted color. So then when I am actually filling out the calendar, I've done it a couple ways. I love to write stuff, so I can still write on it. Oh, I will tell you too, depending on what kind of tablet you use, not all electronic pencils are equal. I'm just that's a huge tip. For me personally, I use Apple, and when I tried a different not a non-Apple pencil, I got super frustrated and I finally just got the Apple pencil. And so I used to handwrite, because you can handwrite. I mean, just like a paper calendar. And it always bothered me though, even with a paper calendar, by the end of a month, my calendar was super messy, but I knew everything was there. Well, what I finally started doing on this is you can do text. And so, for instance, today it says TikTok, Callie podcast. And then I highlighted it uh, purple, because purple is the color that anything that is extra in my life for myself that I enjoy gets highlighted purple. My family is yellow, you know what, all those different things. And so, what's really cool is, too, is what I've done is, for instance, I had a chiropractor appointment every other week on a Monday, but I book while I'm there. Well, I don't take my iPad into the chiropractor, but because I use that text, I can write I write the chiropractor and the time for my next appointment, and I can still do all that from my phone. But then when I open it on my iPad, it's there. It has been a life changing, game changing system for me. But wait, there's more. One last thing about it, which is so cool, is the new calendars now. When I write something in, I can click on it and it will save a link that will put into your Google Calendar or your Apple Calendar for reminders, right?
Right. You're like,
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it has really been incredible though. And so the other thing that I'm loving too is that I will copy and paste invitations. So, like, if my kids come home with I will just be real right here. I still don't have birthdays down. I mean, Brad is like, this is the fourth party that you said it was on this day and it's on that day. I'm like, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But I will, if it's a digital one sent, I just take a screenshot of it and then I just put the picture of the invite on the calendar. I mean, I just copy and paste it right on the calendar so that I can look at it. How many times have you been searching for where is this event or a baby shower or where I'm going to a gender reveal next month so that I have all the details. Um, we had a training event called Flex to Finish. That flyer, it was copy and pasted onto my calendar. So then my calendar has all the things all highlighted, but then I also have any invitations or meetings or anything like that on that page as well. Does that make sense, Callie?
it makes total sense. It's like this beautiful marriage of old school, we call it old school, new cool, right? So you've got that tech piece that allows you to have these images and links and connection like that and be able to cross promote between your iPad, so your technology can talk to each other. But you also have that piece that a lot of people want, that tactile, being able to like write in it and have it a little bit more probably visually and aesthetically fun to look at too. So you've got like all those pieces connected in one amazing calendar.
It is. I've even done now, so I've got the calendar piece, but then now I'll create folders. For instance, I have a folder that was from several months ago when I was puzzling summer. If you're a mom, what are my kids going to do? Like, what? Oh, yay, they're home from school. Well, now what?
Yeah,
And
I'm responsible for them. I'm responsible for them 24/7 all summer
I,
long. Yeah, exactly.
it's so crazy. What are they expecting me to do? And so I literally create a folder that everything, all the camp information, and I can put it all in a folder and then make some decisions on what does work in the calendar. And honestly, in the past, I have signed my children up for a camp before and it didn't get color coded in the calendar and we missed it and I paid for it. And so this piece has just really, really made a difference for me. And the entire good notes, I don't take any more. I mean, I still use some notebooks, but mainly, especially when you travel, all of my notebooks, I'm writing right on my iPad, all of my notes. And one last thing too, with this is with the Good Notes app, you can search words. So I could put in Lincoln's birthday or Lincoln's party, which is one of Boone's friends, and it would search and it would find where I put that invite in case I oopsied and didn't put it in the right place. Is that not so cool? It'll read even handwriting. I mean, it reads all the things. I think it's the most brilliant technology. And I have had more peace in the last 6 months since the middle of December when I was like, enough is enough. And I started taking control of my schedule, which has then given me that flexibility. I cannot say that enough because I fought it so much. But I had to create some stability because life is chaotic. And so then when those surprises come up, I can handle it so much better because I have everything written down and it's digitally written down where I'm not having to carry it with me every second, which has made a huge difference.
Okay, so it was wake up call time for you about 6 months ago. Time to get back to some of the things that maybe we resist, but in the long run, I love how you said that this was like I wrote this one down. I love how you said that your life was running you, you weren't running your life. And the deal is you can make that if you're listening today, you're like, "Man, how did she know?" Like, it's like when the preacher preaches and you're like, how did they know? Well, she knows because she's been there. I know because I've been there. And you can just make that decision today. You can absolutely make that decision today. Okay. And I was going to mention too, because we do air this on YouTube. So some of you may want to be watching. But Krystal, if you have any of these things in images that you want to share with me, I will post them in our Facebook group. And if you're not currently in our Facebook group, it is in the show notes, the TikTok tribe. You can do that because I know some people are visual and they definitely want to see a little bit more about what you're talking about. We'll link to things. We've got you guys covered. Okay, so this was the huge one. I know the huge big piece that you wanted to share with us today. What else? Are there any other kind of offshoots of this or other ideas that have really helped your flexibility, your flow in your life?
So before I tell you the one I know you're talking about, I do have one more. So we're going to do that. We're going to pause for a second and then I'm going to tell you that. Yes. So one of the things that I did want to share with you guys as well is the beauty of reminders. So digital reminders. We all know that we have the capability, whether you have a digital watch or a phone, or I can't say her name because she's in here, but I don't know if you could hear it. I'm sorry because I and then everyone's will go off if you have one in your house, but I
It
have one of
starts
those.
with an ALEX. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Got it.
That's the one. You can set reminders on that. Personally, I use my watch or my phone, and this is the most simple life hack. That's what they are. They're their life or because my name is Krystal, life jewels. We'll call them life jewels. That's we've just coined it. I just came up with it.
Life
So,
jewels. Okay. I'm
little
writing
life
that one
jewels.
down, hashtagging that. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yes. So here's the deal. How many times has someone said, pray for me? Or how many times has someone said, I'm having surgery this day? Or my great friend Michelle a few weeks ago was telling me how her son Daxton, who's one of Beckham's besties, I like to use names because, like, this is real life, you guys, is having his tonsils out. And the minute she told me, I looked at her and I said, hold on. And I pulled my watch off and I immediately spoke, hey, you know who, set a reminder, set a reminder for this day that Daxton is having his tonsils out because again, we're going to go back to what I said at the beginning, relationships. That is what my passion is. That is the core of my uh of my core values. And so even if you're in a season where you're struggling to remember to take that minute to pray, set a reminder until it becomes just that daily habit. And that was really a game changer for me because then I started seeing relationships grow and change because I would text or call or send something to people who were going through a life situation or oh my gosh, my daughter's getting married on so and so day. That day now she's getting a text message that says thinking about you and praying today and I hope today goes smooth and you know what I mean? Like then you can really be present in people's lives. So reminders are so underrated. We are missing out on making a difference in people's lives. And so, one of the things I want to say too, before I tell you the last thing I want to just share, is I think it's important to think one change at a time because I'm sharing several different new ideas with you. And I have this dear friend from Habit Lab named Jenna Zent, and she talks about little bits of better. And it's not necessarily that every time you listen to TikTok and whoever Callie had on, or the great idea that she had, that you make 700 changes every time. It's little bits of better. And even if you just started using the reminder life jewel, I just love that. Even if you just start using that, it could be the one thing that's going to make a shift in your life or make a difference. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, and then I'll do my last little bit.
A couple things I wanted to say. One was what I love about our conversation is we're not using technology to replace things. We're actually using technology to enhance things. Because I think sometimes people can get caught up in it, right? And have a wrong perspective about it. Everything you've talked about is so that you can have more of that time, whether it's with your family or whether it's growing some part of your life. I love that thought. And I really want to plant that in everyone's head. We're using these things so that we can grow and develop other things that are the most important. One other thing that I absolutely love too that you were talking about is in these little bits of better, it was 6 months ago, Krystal, that it was just one thing. It was just that calendar, and now that's the thing you're talking about. It wasn't changing everything, it wasn't hiring somebody for this, or it was just that one thing. So I feel like you're living out what you're sharing with us, and now here you are 6 months later, probably in a place where if there is one more thing you want to tweak or work on, you can, but it was that one thing at a time. So I just wanted to kind of just wrap that part up too. Okay.
I
What
love that.
else do you have for us?
So, the last thing that I want to share that I just have a lot of passion about is that evening time with our families. And this is where we're going to put the technology down. So, I've given you the tech life jewels, and now I'm going to give you the quality time jewel for today. And it really also has been, I feel like, you feel like you can share things if you feel like you're doing it well. And let's be clear, I'm probably going to be tested in this for the rest of the week. You know what I mean? When you share something and you're like, oh, I'm killing it. I'm doing so good at this. And God's going to be like, oh, okay. So we're going to see what happens. Okay. Stay tuned. I'll have to let you know. But the evenings, I have always been extremely systematic for nighttime. And it really does make such a huge difference in our home and in our family. Now, we're not, I want to be real clear. What I'm about to tell you, we are not consistent every single night eating at the table for dinner, but the nights that we can, we are. And so, like many of you, we live in a tablet age and we have tablets in our home. We definitely have limits and boundaries. But here we go, another vulnerable moment. It's real easy to do dinner with letting your kids sit there watching their shows on their tablets. It is peaceful, it's fun, everybody's happy. Brad and I can talk like the whole deal, but it was not working for me. And so I finally started doing something different because my kids are little. They're not like, so how was your day? It's not, we're not going to have that kind of conversation. So I started playing games or discussion cards. And it's really fun because my 8-year-old is reading so well now. He loves to read the cards. So everybody's interacting. But we got some really great dinner table discussion cards, and ours are personally faith based. And so, one of the cards one day was like, what would you say if you got to meet Jesus right now? I mean, just these precious, well thought, what do you think is the best part about your character? And then it like leads us, because even with, Beckham's just turned 5 a week ago. I mean, even with him, he's like, well, what's character? And we get to kind of do that teaching. But then we've also done fun things where it's like this or that. And I usually look those up on Pinterest, where I'll look at family games or family questions. You can do this or that. That one's really fun. Or we'll do name the fill in the blank and it'll have like a little description. So we just have this really great family time that I had to be intentional to create. And so that's something big. And see, I still added some technology. I use Pinterest, but I had to be really, really intentional because it is not going to happen without you doing it. I mean, taking the initiative. And so, I mean, I'm literally right now in my head, I'm like, you're preaching to the choir. It's been the end of school. We have been a hot mess. We just finished baseball season. So we've been gone a lot for dinner. So, like, we haven't had the normalcy that we normally have. But the key has been that literally since my children were babies, we had the same bedtime routine. And I've always had babysitters most of the time. I do have a fiery one that's a little more challenging than the other, but bedtime usually is pretty simple because we do the same thing every single night. I mean, and even when we've had sports, even when we've gone out to eat, even when whatever it is, fill in the blank, when we get home, if we weren't already home, there's a phrase that we say, whether we're leaving the dinner table or we're walking in the back door from the garage. I say, okay, kids, what do we do next? And they both say to me, straight to the bath. And it's a silly, simple principle, but it works. And so yours might look a little different, but we eat and we go straight to the bath wherever we've been, whatever the consequence. And now that they're a little older, now we stop at the laundry room and I make them take their clothes off and put them in the hamper. So I'm teaching them life skills. And I think that's the biggest important thing too, is that we're teaching what I want them to do as adults. I don't want them to leave clothes all over the house. I don't want them to get used to me picking everything up. So we do that bath time. I do let them watch something. We pick a night friendly movie for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it's lights out with sound machine. We play praise and worship while the boys are sleeping, and it really took a lot of chaos out of our nighttime routine, where the only thing I'm fighting with is making sure they're not fighting while in the bathroom. I have two boys,
I was
but
gonna say that's the hardest part of all of it all,
it
right?
really
Yeah.
took the chaos, because as a mom, at the end of the day, I'm done. I'm drained, I'm tired, my fuse is a little shorter, and I need things to be almost robotic so that, we can be joyful going to sleep.
Again, so many people think whether it's a rhythm, a routine, a system, we're not calling those yet life jewels because they don't think of them as life jewels. They think of that as restrictive or they think of that as boring or they think, right? But what you just described gives your family security. It gives them that knowingness. It gives them something that they can count on. It allows you to know that this is what the night is going to look like. And then I can, relax and chill after that, whatever I need to do. It's it's so life-giving instead of restrictive and taking away. And that's why we're calling them life jewels.
Well, and one last thing too, because I know we're running out of time, but the one last thing with that too is that bedtime has grown my marriage, because Brad and I need that last little bit. Some nights we talk, some nights we don't. Sometimes it's a show, but just that alone time, we are in the same room together once the bedtime has happened, has made a significant difference in my marriage.
Which goes all the way back to the beginning that says, why do we do these things? Why do we implement these things? Why are you going to, when you're listening today, why are you going to implement one thing, little bits of better, one change at a time? Why are you doing that? For moments like that, for an evening that you can spend with your husband, or for an evening that you can spend maybe solo, whether you're reading a book or doing something. You're implementing these things, you're implementing technology so that you can have more valuable time for yourself and the things that matter. That's what you've done for us today, Krystal. Brilliantly.
Oh, it was an honor. Sometimes you feel like you're nailing it, and then some days I won't. And then we just get up and we go again. And it's such a blessing to get to share today.
Yeah. Well, you did nail it. And we are the kinds of friends when on days we nail it, we tell each other, but that's a whole nother topic. You need somebody when you're like, I nailed it today. And you need a friend that will celebrate you and be like, girl, you did. You're the best at nailing it. And then there's days when we need a friend that's like, I am being crushed. I'm not crushing it. Like, I need to talk through this, and you need friends like that. And that is who you are. That is who you be. I'm going to encourage everybody that's not already following you on social, follow Krystal. It is a beautiful representation of a life well lived. That's what you do on social media. You're authentic. You are fun. You definitely have and are living out what you're telling us today. So I love you. Thank you for being on.
Thank you, friend. I love you. I'm so grateful.
Me too. And I know that we are grateful for this wisdom that we got today. You guys, this is what we're all about here on the show. So thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time. God bless. Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then,